Hello everybody, this is Nick Newman with the Conscienticon, and today's episode is an introduction to Hermetic philosophy, Hermeticism, or Hermetic science. Now, all of my life, except for the past 3 or 4 years now, I have been an atheist, a strict believer in Newtonian science as kind of the background to everything in the universe. And that changed when I hit a phase in my life that was just deeply, deeply sad. Now, I had a lot of stuff going on that I just kind of felt like I was just like completely out of control of. I was in a relationship that was really, really bad. We just kind of lived together and hated each other, essentially. I had jobs, like the lowest job I ever had, and like, I don't want to get into too many details here, but it was a disgusting, filthy place I worked in, and the people, not all of them, but the kind of people were apathetic in general about how they treated customers. And I mean, I'm really ashamed of this part of my life, or at least I was ashamed. And I didn't really do anything except for get stoned all the time and play video games and overeat. I ate a lot. I was very massive. So I started to try to take control over my life slowly by understanding responsibility. And then that kind of led me down this path of Hermeticism, because I remember specifically I was pushing carts. That's what my job was for a while. I was a cart pusher for a little while after this, so things were improving for me, but I was still looking for truth. I was like, the things I had learned, lessons I had learned about life were starting to really transform things around me. Like, my money was better. I had gotten a better job. Even though it was a cart pushing job, I still made a substantial amount of money doing that. My relationships were better. I got with a girl that, like, I really, really wanted. Like, things were really going well. I still do have like a connection to a family now, a new family, a healthy family, and I have connections to friends that are healthy and happy and want the best for me, and I want the best for them. So it's like things were really falling into place, and I wanted a deeper understanding of things. And I was just on YouTube, and I started listening to stuff about the secrets of the universe. It's one of those things that you just click on and you're like, okay, what is this? And you dive into it, and it rocked me, man. It rocked me, because most of the time, if I'm hearing religious claims, I can kind of diffuse those claims. I can kind of say something like, this doesn't make sense across all circumstances. And when I came across something called the Kabbalion, there were principles within the Kabbalion that I could not break. I was like, this, everything I've ever learned in my life, this references it, and it's unbreakable. And I'm talking about the 7 Hermetic principles, which that's what I loved about Hermeticism and still love about Hermeticism. It's the idea that there are fundamental laws of the universe that cannot be broken, that you are bounded within a system that, and are part of this system that is got these rules going on all the time that are unbreakable. Now, you can bend them. They are bendable rules, but they're not breakable. They're always going to come back. There's kind of ideas of paradox in which if you bend a rule too much, reality whips back and smacks you for breaking or trying to break the rules. Now, I thought this stuff was like bullshit. Okay, I thought it was a joke until I started analyzing it, and I was like, oh my god, like, I can't believe this. And what's interesting about this, and if you're here listening to this video right now, you're here for a reason. You're here because the there's an idea within Hermeticism that says the lips of wisdom are sealed except to the ears of understanding, which means you have to be in a certain place in your life to where this information can permeate so you can accept it. And because if you speak occult truths to people or hermetic truths to people and they're not ready for it, they're going to think you're crazy. So there's going to be plenty of people that are watching this video that think I'm fucking insane, okay? There are friends of mine I can't speak to this about because they'll think I'm insane. And I'll get to a law at the very end of the episode here that explains how you kind of overcome that, because it can be a lonely life, which is why I started this. I started this channel because I wanted to connect to people who knew deeper understandings of the occult and practical wisdom. I wanted practical wisdom. So a lot of esoteric things can be impractical. They're lessons that you can learn that don't really amount to anything you can use in the world, which is why I love Hermeticism, because it is practical. You can use this information, and no matter what science or religion you currently follow, Hermetic principles encompass them. They're still inside. The principles are still part of that system, whether you know it or not. And this is why people think that Hermeticism is kind of the thing that reconciles all occult knowledge. So let's get into what it really is. Now, the thing about Hermeticism is there are 7 Hermetic principles, which I will not discuss in this episode. I will make another episode explaining them all briefly, and then I'll make episodes of each one, and you can check below to kind of find those. Now, the god that is revered within Hermeticism is a god named Hermes Trismegistus, okay? Which means the thrice great. Hermes Trismegistus, okay? Now, Hermes is originally a messenger god from a Greek messenger god, okay? He's the god of writing and messages and things like this. So, during Alexander the Great's conquering of Egypt, we had cultures mix. So we had Egyptian culture and Greek culture kind of mix, right? And during this time, a new kind of theology was created, and it was Hermeticism. And they merged the gods Thoth and Hermes because they were pretty much kind of the same god, okay? So Hermes Trismegistus, thrice great Hermes, refers to the idea that throughout all Hermetic teachings, there is a character in which exists within all of these stories, because originally they were stories, and then there's a group called the Three Initiates that took these stories and distilled them into the Kabbalion, which is kind of like a 10 Commandments thing. It's kind of the same idea. It's like you don't have to read the whole Bible, you just read the 10 Commandments and obey those and you're good. You don't have to read all of the divine texts, Hermetic texts. You can just read the Kabbalion, and that gives you the 7 Hermetic principles. And so, but there's a character named Hermes Trismegistus, and this character throughout all the stories, it kind of lays down magical laws and then interacts with like other gods and God himself, the God, okay? Now, which is why he's called thrice great. There are many reasons why he's called thrice great, but one of the reasons is because he was a philosopher first, the god Hermes second, and then the god Thoth third. And I guess you could say he was Hermes, Thoth, and then Hermes Trismegistus. So, with the 3 texts that spawned all of this stuff, and these are texts that go back a long time, and there's really no evidence other than word of mouth and occult texts that show whether or not these were true or not. However, they're so profound, like, it's just one of those things, it's like, it's so intricate and at the same time absurd that it's like, there's gotta be something to this. People poured energy into it because they really believed it was a thing. And I believe it's a thing. But the first book is called or a set of tablets or scrolls. It's called the Corpus Hermeticum, okay, which is also called the Devine Pymander. Now, what's cool about this is some occult people believe that this text is essentially a Rorschach test, or a psychological Rorschach test. So in reading it, the text actually allows you subconsciously to analyze yourself consciously. Okay, and what it is it's a dialogue between our character Hermes Trismegistus and something called Pymander, which is God. It's the All. It's this divine ancient dragon that has been around forever. Some people refer to it as Leviathan, but the idea is that this is the chaotic incarnation of God, him itself. Okay, and Hermes, being magical, has found himself in a position where he can have a dialogue back and forth with this dragon. And through the dialogue, the reader is supposed to be able to psychoanalyze themselves. Very, very interesting. I've read it and was completely lost. I mean, it's a very intense read. But the thing about it is, the more you understand about Hermeticism, you go back to the text and you read them again, and there's things that you uncover when you read them. So that was the first one. It's called the Corpus Hermeticum. The second item is called the Emerald Tablets of Thoth, okay, or Hermes Trismegistus. Now, within the Emerald Tablets, essentially they're a collection of stories as well, with secrets of the universe. It's got has Hermes describing 3 specific sections of the universe in which we live in. And I won't go into them, but these tablets were supposedly discovered by Alexander the Great, okay, and a tomb in which Hermes was living. So this could have been a real person that had wrote these and was buried and named himself Hermes. That's a very common trope among Hermetic occultists, okay? They go under pseudonyms that usually involve Hermes Trismegistus, because there's an idea of mentalism within Hermeticism, which says that essentially the all is mind and the universe is mental. And within every person, like as I'm speaking to you right now, I'm encapsulating the spirit of Hermes and essentially passing on wisdom. So I've become a vessel that is passing on wisdom. So occultists will take on the name Hermes, which might be what has happened when Alexander discovered these scrolls, if he did or if he didn't. And again, there's a reason why we don't really know. It's been kept secret for a reason, because it empowers it. The secrecy of where these documents came from empowers it. The mystery behind it leaves it perpetually powerful, because you can't, as long as it's not understandable, you can't kind of like dissect it, essentially. Okay. And then the final one, which is where I started. This is a newer thing in the 1900s. It was a book. It's a book called the Kybalion. And the Kybalion is essentially like the 10 Commandment version of the Emerald Tablets in the Corpus Hermeticum. So it takes all the stories and adventures that Hermes has been on and distills this information into 7 laws of the universe. And this is what really got me when I first understood it, is like, it says all of this information, all of these laws, you can believe in whatever you want to believe. You can have any kind of spiritual belief that you want, any kind of, you can obey any sort of religion that you want. However, within those religions grow and spread because they hold truths of the universe within them. Not all the truths, but enough to get it to be permeable. And that's the thing about Hermeticism is that it takes pieces of all of these theologies and morphs them into something that can be reconciled. All truths are but half truths. All paradoxes shall be reconciled. That's a Hermetic saying. Now, like I said, I will go over Hermetic principles in another video. So I essentially want my viewers to be able to walk out, understand these laws, and then apply them in their lives. Let me end this video on something that's really, really interesting. It's called the law of secrecy. Now, I have pissed off quite a few occult members. I am part of some communities in which I discuss occult information with people. And specifically, my video on enlightenment upset a few people because I was breaking this law of secrecy, okay? Now, I believe that if we follow the original thing I learned, which was, the lips of wisdom are closed to all but the ears of understanding. I can preach this stuff or whatever, and it doesn't matter because only the people interested are going to learn it anyway. So, and I want that information to be there, but a lot of people don't believe that's true. They believe that you depower occult knowledge by sharing it, because Hermeticists believe, and I believe, of something called a consensus. Now, the consensus, there are laws of physical Newtonian laws of reality, right? Like gravity and all of this, that exist despite whether you believe in them or not. It's kind of a bare bones structure of our reality here. However, within those laws, energy flows throughout those laws, that structure of reality. And as energy moves through these laws and is constricted, Hermetic laws go on top of them and govern how energy moves and transmutes itself, which has to do with every individual mind that is within the network. Okay, so every mind that is conscious has the ability to change reality to its whim, so long as that reality is bound within Newtonian law. So that means that nothing is a coincidence. That means that if you desire something badly enough, the physical world you will be guided energetically through this physical world to the answers that you seek, and other people that are seeking it will be guided there as well. This is the law of attraction, okay? Although this is not like The Secret, in which you can just want something and it just happens to you. There's something called a generative principle, and the generative principle says that you have to put in effort of some sort. You have to use your hands and your energy and your will in order to make some of this stuff happen, which I'll get into later. But the law of secrecy says that if I have an ambition and I say, I want this one thing, and I go telling everybody that I want that one thing. If I have people that I'm telling this information to and they believe it, they believe I'm capable of doing said thing, they will empower me exponentially towards having a reality where that thing happens and manifests. Now, the contrary is true as well. If you have people that you speak to that don't believe in what you're going to do, or believe in what you're saying, they depower you, because every single mind within physical reality is a subversion of all of the universe. Okay, it's a tiny fraction of all of the universe and all of its creative powers, and that we interact with each other. And the consensus is just that things in reality are the way they are because people believe they are. So the law of secrecy says that if you practice occult or Hermetic teachings or anything like this, that whenever you go about doing something, you're supposed to keep that something a secret. And I made a video about gnosis, personal gnosis or enlightenment, which is the quickest way I personally have found in order to discover that there are things about reality that are deeper than what you may think. And I'm comfortable saying this stuff because if this isn't your stuff, you're just going to leave, which is fine with me. I don't want you here if you don't believe in it. However, if you're one of those individuals that are like, there's something deeper to this world than what I have been taught, then I really want you to kind of dive into this content, because I'm going to be teaching you things that you're not going to learn in other places, really. If you are, they're few and far between. So, this is Nick Newman with the Conscienticon. Please comment, like, and subscribe. Like I said, I've been using these Hermetic principles to make all kinds of crazy things in my life happen. Positive things happen. And I want my viewers to be able to manifest certain things. So that's why the Conscienticon has videos that are about wealth, health, happiness, relationship dynamics, getting girls, pretty much manifesting whatever you want in your life. So if you'd like to support me, check me out on Patreon under Conscienticon. And if you really like this content, check me out on Redbubble, where I'm selling all kinds of quirky, funny stickers. I lost a ton of weight. I wrote a book about it called As Within, So Without, Sage's Guide to Weight Loss. That's on Amazon. I lost 144 pounds. And Hermetic principles helped me get there. So, thank you all very much.